or you can do it out in public. And it's not as if there's always a private thing underlying the public behavior. Ryle has this famous example. Suppose someone comes to visit and they say, show me around the university, show me around the great university. What is it like? What a thrill. And you say, of course, here is Wheeler Hall. Come to a philosophy lecture. That's clearly the best part. Let's move around. Look, there is the world-famous Campanile. There is a small demonstration at Southergate. There is Oski and so on. So you show them around all the various aspects of the campus. And at the end of it, they say, well, that's just been fascinating. I loved seeing all that stuff. But what you haven't shown me is, where is the actual university itself? What do you do then? I mean, you kind of run out, right? And they say, well, do you mean, was Wheeler Hall the university? Was the Campanile the university? The demonstration? And you say, no, well, none of those could be, you could say that was the university. And it's kind of like that with human behavior. You show someone a human being, they behave in lots of different ways, and they say, well, yeah, you showed me all the human behaving in all those different ways, but that's not the mind. Where is the mind? Show me the mind. And at that point, you're kind of at a loss. And the reason is that the mind isn't something over and above the behavior. And someone who sees all this stuff and says, but where is the university, is thinking, well, somewhere deep in a dungeon, there is the true university. That's the real thing. Someone who says, I've seen all of human behavior, but where was the mind? I've seen people calculating. I've seen people shouting. I've seen people crying in pain. But where was the mind? They're thinking it's something hidden behind all that. But Ryle's idea is that's actually, you have seen the mind when you've seen intelligent behavior. That's the whole thing. There's no more to it than that. Once you've seen all this stuff, you have seen the university. No one part of it can be identified as this is the university. But that's all there is. There's no more to the university than that. Wittgenstein's got this example of you're expecting someone to come for tea at 4 o'clock. So what happens? Well, as it gets towards 4 o'clock, you look at your watch, you look at the clock, you fill the kettle with water, you look out of the window, you say, isn't he here yet? That kind of stuff. That's what happens. You do all those behaviors. Is there anything more to expecting someone to come for tea at 4 o'clock than doing that stuff? If you do all that stuff, you just are expecting someone to come for tea at 4 o'clock. That's all it means to be expecting someone to come for tea at 4 o'clock. Not that you've got some hidden throb or pang. You might do, but that's not really essential that you have some hidden throb or pang. If you do all that stuff, you're looking out the window, getting the tea ready, that's you expecting them at 4 o'clock. This is thought to be the kind of situation that Wittgenstein was anticipating. There's the old boy himself at a tender age. Anyway, I just thought you'd like to see that. Okay. So Ryle's view is that Descartes is thinking of the mind in completely the wrong way. Descartes is thinking of the mind as one of the causes of behavior in a human. You've got your brain that causes you to do a lot of stuff. You've got this kind of ghostly ectoplasmic mind that is like a ghostly piece of clockwork driving the machine. Descartes had mistaken the logic of his problem. What he needed to do was to ask by what criteria intelligent behavior is different from non-intelligent behavior. How you say someone is thinking as opposed to saying they're just babbling. Descartes said, if you're just looking for the mechanics of what's going on, You look at the cogs and springs of the brain, and you say, that's not the mind. So the cogs and springs of the mind must be something different. But then you think of psychology as a kind of analysis of this ghostly clockwork. But that was just a mistake. We should not have been saying there's kind of a ghostly piece of clockwork in here, and you just cast your gaze inwards and you know infallibly how it is. What you're doing is you're taking human behavior, and your behavior is just as visible to everybody else as it is to you. And all you're doing is classifying it. And other people can classify your behavior just as well as you can. You're not finding out about the causes of behavior. You're looking at how we classify behavior. We're classifying behavior, not identifying its cause. So that's sometimes called analytical behaviorism. The idea, the psychological terms, are just ways of classifying complex behaviors. And the great thing about that view is it really makes sense of a lot of how we do know about ourselves and each other. It makes sense of the way in which you really can just perceive what someone else is feeling and often be more right about it than they are themselves. Okay, so next time we'll look at Putnam's, what's it called? Brains and Behavior, I think it's called. Yeah. Okay, thanks, guys.